Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is our movie news show that is usually every week. Although, last week there was not one because Connor was on vacation. So...
And you decided to slack off.
there was a lot of exciting news to talk. I did a TV news on my own last week, but there wasn't a whole lot of exciting movie news, which is, I think, still kind of obvious by the fact that, despite the fact that this is 2 weeks of interesting news, it's not actually even that long of a list of news compared to some of the busier weeks. So
slow time of year.
Slow time of year, yeah. I guess it is. It means we have 2 weeks of box office to talk about, though, which is a shame because it means there was no guesses for Halloween's opening weekend. So that's on me for not thinking ahead on that. But we do have guesses for the previous weekend. Then we have this weekend, of course, to talk about. We got obviously all of our movies news sections. We got comic movie news, horror movie news, general movie news. General sounds so boring and unexciting, but it's just because it's. What else do you call that section? That's not horror or comic book.
Blockbuster movie news. They're not all blockbusters, but it just sounds more exciting.
Okay, it sounds better. Okay, blockbuster movie news. And then, of course, at the end of the show, if we've seen any movies that were not for review purposes, we'll talk about them. Hey, you may be surprised to hear this, but I really don't have any either. That said, I do kind of have one that's kind of notable because it never got the review it should have, because Matt was moving house and just didn't have time to record it.
Right, okay.
So I actually do have Bad Times at El Real that's still not had a proper video on its own. It may still get one. It's not completely like a done deal that it's not happening. But because it's now been a couple of weeks, because I've not talked about it yet, I'll probably give some spoiler-free impressions of Bad Times at El Real at the end. Because I saw it and it's worth talking about.
I've just had no time for anything. Obviously, I was away for a week, so I didn't watch any movies there. And I've come back and it's just been catching up on everything that I've missed.
Yeah, you've had like two, because we did the Deuce earlier. You had two Deuces to watch because you didn't have last week's watch because you were gone.
Yeah, I had to watch 2 Doctor Who's. I had to watch all the DC shows. It's been crazy. It's
been a hectic time. It's it's not my best Halloween or October rather for horror movie viewing. I've not had a high number this month.
Better than me.
Better than you, but I mean that's not saying much.
I'm on 0.
That's like patting yourself in the back for having more sex in the last week than a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
You've been the 5-year-old in this example. Without further ado, we'll get cracking into the box office. So yeah, we'll start with the previous weekend's box office. So this is October 12th to October 14th. We had guesses for this week. We had 4 guesses, in fact, for this week.
I don't remember at all what we guessed.
So the 4 movies that were coming out, or some of them were week 2s, but you know what we guessed for. We had new releases of Goosebumps 2, Bad Times at El Real, and First Man, and then we also guessed the second week of Venom because we thought that was worth doing. So that's what we did.
I'm pretty sure, I don't know what it was, but I'm pretty sure Venom I went for a comedy of the same as what I did the week before.
I hate to say it, but Venom's number 1, or was number 1. I guessed 35 million and you guessed 23.
It's like 50 something, isn't it?
God no, it only started off like 80. It wasn't holding at 50. But I'm giving myself a pat in the back because the exact figure is 35,006,107.
Okay.
That is maybe the closest I've gotten to an exact number. But we never guess, obviously, the exact, we never go like, oh, and 70,622. We never do that. But
it's too much effort.
That's so close to 35,000 exactly. I am quite proud of that guess.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Number 2 was A Star Is Born in its second week with 28 million. So that did quite well in its second week. So that's doing pretty nifty. Yeah. And then number 3 was First Man, which you guessed 35 million for. I guessed 18 for. It was in fact 16 million.
Wow. Okay, that's quite a drop from 2 to 3.
Yeah, but there's obviously 2 off in that, so I'm doing pretty well so far. That's not going to hold for long, admittedly, but still. Number 4 was Goosebumps 2, Haunted Halloween. You guessed 21 million, so that's obviously that can't be true because we're on number 4 now. I guessed 28 million.
Do you know what the thing is? Mm-hmm. I wasn't expecting Venom and A Star Is Born to hold so much of the overall gross for the weekend. That I'd put everything else higher.
Clearly not. It was a healthy week overall. Like, I mean, we've had a 30-something, a 20-something, and we've had 2 teens. So it's been spread out over the movies. This has been quite a healthy weekend box office wise. But that made 15 million.
It's not worst.
Number 5 is Smallfoot with 9 million. Number 6 was Night School with 7.7 million.
Oh, this is not looking good.
Which means that, unfortunately, at number 7, Bad Times at El Royale with 7.1 million is disappointing because
whatever we guessed, we massively overshot.
Well, I guessed 22 million, you guessed 19. So yeah, El Royale did not do that well.
We guessed like 3 times the amount.
Which is a shame. Now, admittedly, I mean, First Man might be objectively a better film. I've not got a chance to see it yet, but I'm feeling pretty confident that it's better than Goosebumps 2 and Venom. Star is Born is kind of subjective because I just don't. I mean, I'd definitely like El Royale more than that.
You'd
I think.
like it more, but that doesn't make A Star is Born bad.
It doesn't make it bad, but the point I'm making is that I don't feel that it you know, I'll talk about my thoughts on it later, but I don't think 7 million under all those was where it deserved to land.
No, that's fair.
Which means I didn't hate it. So I mean, you know, I didn't think negatively of it at least. But hey ho. So number 8 was The House with the Clock on Its Walls with 3.8 million. Number 9 was The Hate You Give with 1.7 million. And number 10 was The Nun with 1.3 million. So just quickly go through those because I think more interesting. And in terms of worldwide totals and things, we'll look at a few this weekend because they're more relevant now that they're, you know, this is the new figures. And we're recording this on Monday, meaning that we have the actuals for the weekend in. So, have you seen what Halloween made yet?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, never mind. I was going to make a guess.
It was just kind of everywhere.
Yeah. So Halloween, the original estimates like 3 weeks ago had it at 50 million, and that was actually really good. That was like the most a slasher movie had ever made opening weekend. It was one of the best horror openings ever, and that was really good. And then it kept going up. The estimates kept going up to the point where it was like close to 80 million. It was slightly under that. It ended up at 76 million, which is the best opening for a slasher movie of all time still. And interestingly, if you remember a few weeks ago, we talked about how Venom was the highest opening weekend for an October release. This is the second highest opening for an October release. So
it's not too shabby.
This October's doing not bad, and Halloween's doing well.
Screw you, Venom.
Screw you, Venom. Yes. And it's funny, Joe, I feel conflicted on this because if you check out me and Tim's discussion on Screams After Midnight, which was 105 minutes long, one of the longest Screams After Midnights we've ever done, we didn't like Halloween, the new Halloween, that much. It's not a terrible movie, it's not garbage, it's very well intentioned, but we thought it had a lot of problems.
The question is, though, better or worse than Venom?
Probably better. Probably better.
Probably. I like how you're not confident enough to say it outright.
I'm pretty sure it's better. Halloween could maybe grow on me a little bit with repeat viewings, but right now I'm of the opinion that the filmmaking was not up to par. But I still don't hate that it's making money, and I'll tell you why. I like the idea of people thinking slasher movies can make money because it means I'll get more slasher movies. And I also like the idea of just my boy Michael Myers doing well. But do you know what my favourite part about this, regardless of the quality of the film, this is supposed to feel like classic Michael Myers and classic Halloween and ignoring the remakes. And this is making way more money than those stupid Rob Zombie movies, which are by far way worse.
Hey,
so
it's probably making more than them put together.
So on principle of this shitting all over the remakes, I applaud this Halloween making a lot of money.
It's one of those where even if it's a pretty, even if it was a pretty shitty film, right? You're not going quite that far.
No, I put it in the middle of the road.
Right,
kinda.
But even if it was pretty shitty, it's good for shaking up the horror landscape a bit. Because it's all just supernatural still.
More on that in the horror movie news section.
Oh, I know. I saw.
Yes, it's not even been 3 days since this came out yet, and we already have some big news that's probably directly because of this.
Almost certainly, yeah.
I mean,
they were clearly waiting and going, right, let's see how this does.
I don't know, actually, because it was already taken to people, I think it was already kind of in the works, but I think the announcement happened today because...
I think it got its final push because of the weekend.
Maybe.
I think if it had gone badly...
No, but from the sounds of the story, it sounds like it had already went to people, and it was already something that was being mulled over. I think the choice to announce it this early though is because
We'll talk more about it properly when we get to that story.
yes, but it's already having an effect. And I want more slasher movies. There's not been enough slasher movies recently. When I say recently, I mean the last 20 years. So I want more slasher movies. And if I at least get that out of Halloween doing well, then great. For worldwide figures, though, it's on 90 million. So obviously that's mostly domestic that's doing that.
That is incredibly weighted domestically.
I wonder, though, if it's not released in a lot of places yet. I wonder if that's
shall I have a quick check?
A fairly limited... I mean, Box Office Mojo only has South African figures, but it's definitely not just that. Yeah, I don't know how wide the worldwide release is as of yet.
No, I'm just checking. Pretty wide. You mean you got Russia, Eastern Europe, Canada, UK, Ireland, Italy, Mexico, Sweden, US. It's the other side of Europe, so your France, Germany. Yeah, a lot of them haven't got it yet.
Relatively big
Spain.
markets,
Yeah.
to be fair. Like
yeah. Hong Kong doesn't get it till the end of the month.
Yeah, from what you just said there, I wouldn't agree with your first assessment saying that a lot of places got it. I'd say that's actually quite a limited number of places that got it.
See, now that I look at it, it's actually kind of half and half.
Yeah, but the half you said are places where I don't expect big box office receipts from.
No? Okay. I mean, I'm not saying I expect huge ones from those, but like it's kind of when I'm looking at the list, it feels like a mixture of some big, some small, on both. Because the other ones are just releasing this coming week, the 25th, 26th.
That makes sense. They want it out for Halloween.
Yeah, so it's only a week later, but it feels like it's kind of either or, like they're kind of mixed in.
Yeah, but the point being though, if you double the international take, then it's still more domestic, but it's a lot closer to what I'd expect the ratio to be.
Yeah, it's more in line.
If you were telling me that it's weighted more towards domestic because slasher movies or horror movies just do better in that way, then I'd be like, yeah, I'd expect something that's more like 60-40 to 70-30 than this, which is more like 85 to 90% domestic.
Yeah, this is pretty extreme.
So I think that's just a sign of it's not been out enough places yet. Although it will still be weighted toward domestic, but not by that extreme.
It will,
margin.
But if we check in next week, we'll have a more accurate representation.
Yeah, more accurate, not quite accurate yet though, because it'll have had an extra weekend.
Yeah,
domestically.
More accurate. Yeah.
Number 2 was A Star Is Born, with 19 million.
That's holding well.
That's holding very well. The Gagians are all going to see it repeatedly, apparently. I do
want to see it.
It's only at 201 million worldwide, and only 126 of that's domestic. But
it's just been very consistent, hasn't it?
It's been very consistent in the 20 to 35 range.
Said,
or whatever.
Given the type of movie it is, I'm sure they're pretty happy with what they're making.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that this is a treat what they're getting for this. Number 3 is Venom with 18 million, which is holding far too more than it should be.
I mean, at least it dropped below Star Is Born.
Oh, God. That's made 461 million. That's like sequel worthy.
Oh, it's happening.
This is baffling to me. I'll see it in home release out of morbid curiosity, I'm sure, but.
Oh yeah, I think we'll do something funny when it comes out.
Number 4 was Goosebumps 2, Haunted Halloween with 9 million. Not a huge drop for that either. I think that's a case of that's the kiddie Halloween film they can take their kids to see.
Yeah.
So it's doing okay, kind of just consistently. First Man's at number 5 with 8 million. Number 6 is Hate You Give with 7.6 million. Worth mentioning that went up quite a bit because it got a lot more screens. It went from like a super limited to.
I was gonna say, wasn't that only like 2 million the week before or something?
Yeah, it went from about 300 screens to 2,300 screens, so it went wide.
Makes sense.
Smallfoot number 7 was 6.5 million. Number 8 was Night School with 4.8 million. Number 9 was The Bad Times at El Royale with 3.4 million. I mean, 50% drop. I mean,
yeah, but when you're that low, 50% is quite a lot.
What's that worldwide? 21 million. That's depressing.
Oh,
that's depressing.
That's a bomb.
Well, it depends how much. I think it was a fairly low budget movie. Yeah, the budget was 32 million, so I mean, it'll probably scrape that.
Yeah, but it's not successful.
It's not successful, but it's not, you know,
Yeah.
that'll be a cable movie where it's playing all the time in cable. That's one of those movies.
Yeah, in about 9 months' time.
Yeah. Then number 10 was The Old Man and the Gun with 2.1 million, which is Robert
I don't know
Redford's.
what that is.
Robert Redford's last movie.
Oh, okay.
Your memory is shocking.
Look, you go through about 1 million titles a month. I don't remember all of them.
The amount of times I'll mention a movie and it's a trailer we covered on Trailer Talk, where we talked about what the trailer looked like and how good it might or not be, and you don't remember any of them ever. It is
because we do
shocking.
12 trailers a week.
Then how do I remember them?
Well, because I don't know.
Exactly.
I got
Your
other stuff
memory's
to
shit.
remember. I'm just saying. You're right. We do 10 trailers a week. We probably watched that trailer 2 or 3 months ago.
Uh-huh.
What do you mean? That's 150 trailers since then. That's a lot of trailers.
Shut up. So many excuses. Anyway, that's box office. That's box office. But next week, we need to get guesses, actually. Those guesses for next week.
Do we? Okay.
Well, Halloween's second week for a start, I think it's
Yeah, I suppose.
worth doing. And then, okay, sure, Hunter Killer. We'll guess for Hunter Killer's first weekend.
That shitty action movie.
Gerald Butler.
Oh,
Submarines.
Oh, yeah.
Submarines indeed.
I think when we're guessing Halloween, I think it's worth noting, as much as you were pretty negative on it overall, the general reception is pretty positive, which means it's overall getting reasonable buzz. So
I know it's got a good Rotten Tomatoes score. It's got good, public scores in like IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. Like the general consensus is much more positive, but both me and Tim were on the negative side. Both me and Tim are baffled by all the praise.
yeah.
Although, I'm not completely baffled. I compared it a lot to Rogue One because I actually think they suffer from the same problems, and it's a case of I think the new Halloween has a lot of cheap pops, if that makes sense. It's a term for a lot of things, but in wrestling, a cheap pop is when they'll say something and they'll a common one's like they'll mention the town they're in and that'll get a cheap cheer. That's a cheap pop because it was an easy one.
Sure.
Right? I think Rogue One and the new Halloween are kind of full of that, where it's just easy little, that'll make people happy because it's fan servicey.
Okay.
But the filmmaking's not there to back it up.
Sure.
Yes, Rogue One's shit. Except
I'm not going down this again. I'm too tired tonight.
Yeah, but that's why you're giving me this blank face, and you're intentionally.
You know, the audience knows.
You're intentionally stiffing me on a response because you don't want to acknowledge.
I'm not giving you the satisfaction.
Rogue One's shit. It's I don't want any hear any of this shit about a Star Wars buys. Halloween's my franchise, and I'm calling it out for the exact same bullshit.
Do you know what? I'm kind of glad you didn't like it. Just because I feel smug that you were so excited about your Halloween movie.
Sure. But I get to make fun of you in a different way for being delusional and thinking that Rogue One's actually good.
I love that movie.
Yeah. So I get to critique the integrity of your brain.
My brain is perfectly amazing, and it does exactly what it's meant to do.
Those ginger roots look infected. I can't buy this at all. So anyway, so we'll guess Halloween week 2. And Hunter Killer.
31.5.
I think there's going to be a really good hold on this. I'm going to say 50, and the reason why I'm saying 50 is because not only is it getting good word of mouth generally, it's the weekend before Halloween.
Yeah. Joe, I didn't even think about it. I'm tired. Okay.
So I think even if it ends up just being like 45 or 40. I mean, what's the midpoint between what we said? 39, 40? 39 and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah, so as long as it's over that, I win. So I'm feeling confident.
Yeah, you probably should be, to be honest.
I'm feeling confident. Hunter Killer.
I lowballed it. Hunter Killer. I can't see it doing that good.
Nah. I'm only say 12.
I was thinking around that region, but I'll go 13. I was because before you said anything, I was thinking 11 to 13. I was like, do I want to go above or below?
Yeah, as a dick move, you're basically just trying to like, gate where I can win from. I'll be just really shit now, just so I get the point. I think I won. I think I won. Well, you know what I mean. Last weekend's overall.
Probably.
I got a top two, pretty close anyway.
Yeah. I'll give it you.
All right, there you go. That's guesses for next week's box office. All right, so we'll go to the news then. Finally, we will look at comic book movie news to begin with, and I almost want like a little jingle and like a logo that comes up for the turmoil of the DC cinematic universe, and you know all the
its own little segment.
Yeah, so there's like wah wah, they've slipped again, slipping Jimmy's slipping all over DC Comics. Yeah. And for anyone who, if you don't follow our DC Comics podcast or our DC TV podcast, just know that we love DC Comics. We prefer DC Comics. Our mocking here is
pretty stupid amount.
Yes, we are very DC biased. We prefer DC. So when we mock the movies, it's because the movies deserve the mocking. It's
from a place of love.
So first up, The Flash got pushed. The Flash was supposed to start shooting this year or the end of this year and be out in 2020. That was going to be one of their 3 2020 movies. Birds of Prey was going to be the first one early in the year, and then that and something else. And now it's been pushed. And the reason why it's been pushed is because they can't start shooting it when they thought they were going to shoot it, because it got pushed a little bit, and that wasn't going to affect the release date. But the pushing it a little bit, the shooting date, meant it was going to conflict with the next Fantastic Beasts shooting times, which Ezra Miller is also a part of. Although at this point, I'm just fire the asshole and cast someone else. He's not even that good as the Flash. But whatever. You know, that's why.
Yeah.
So because they can't start shooting it until after they've finished shooting Fantastic Beasts 3, now the Flash isn't coming out until sometime in 2021, if you even believe that date.
That's scheduling conflicts, but ultimately they're both their own movies, so they'll just accommodate with whatever they want to do.
True, yeah, they're both Warner Brothers, so yeah.
So to them, they're like, yeah, whatever.
To them, they're like, Fantastic Beasts is every 2 years, and we have to hit that consistency because we've already established that.
Yeah, and they kind of know what to expect from that franchise, whereas, let's be honest, this could be anything.
Yeah. And then because of that, I think I want to say that was supposed to be in the June period of 2020, because another movie got pushed into that slot. Now coming out on June 5th, 2020, when it was originally November 2019, is Wonder Woman 48. Or, sorry, 84, not 48. 84.
I'm trying to say, what's going on?
1984. That's the thing. Which is a notable jump. It's like 7 months. 7-8 months. And it's like, because the way it was announced today from Gal Gadot was like, oh, because things have aligned better, now we can come out where we're supposed to, and that's June. And I'm like, yeah, but that's like 8 months later. Like, you're telling me you're excited that you get to go in June because June was a big part of the first film, and because the first one came out in June, and yeah, it did well, but I don't think being June had anything to do with it.
The only thing I can think of is if it's set in the summer and they want to, play up that. Yeah,
but this is the thing. They've already shot most of it.
Yeah.
And we're not even in 2019 yet, so I'm thinking there's going to be reshoots, and that's normal for a big movie if that's the case. But here's the thing: this is such a big thing that a big gap and a potential lot of reshoots. And I'm kind of just speculating here, but I'm wondering if because they're maybe rejiggering where the entire universe is going, the entire slate. I'm wondering if it's not because the movie itself, what they've got, there's problems with it. It's more that they want to change things because they want to lead into something, or soft reboot things.
It's also possible it's a similar situation to what we were just saying with Ezra Miller of, we need to do a certain amount of reshoots, but schedule conflicts are popping up.
See, I don't buy that because they plan for reshoots, and if there was reshoots,
maybe they're more extensive than they had originally planned, and now they've got to push those.
That's less likely.
Okay,
that's jumping to it. And I know the example everyone's going to shout at me is that, yeah, but what about Cavill with Batman v Superman or Justice League with a mustache? And yeah, that's a weird instance where it was so extreme and so much later that they had to have that big conflict. But I feel that's unlikely. There's definitely something going on here, though. You don't push it 8 months just because it's a better time for it.
No, not unless it's like a horror movie and you can slack it into the Halloween slot.
Yeah,
right?
or it's a Christmas movie and it makes more sense to put it in Christmas. Or because here's the thing: see, if you had to delay a Christmas movie because it wasn't going to be ready, I would delay it a whole year. There's no point in releasing a Christmas movie in March. Just delay it the whole year.
Yeah, but no one's going to question that.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas this is like
there, it's ready.
There's no reason for this to be June, so it's weird. So I don't necessarily think there's something wrong with that. I'm actually wondering if they want to rejig it to a certain extent because they've flat out like implied that that's Cavill done and they're looking for a new Batman. So
yeah,
so maybe they're rejiggering things completely and they're wanting to like maybe set up other movies or I don't know, but.
So we're down to just 2 movies next year now.
Yeah, Joker and Shazam next year.
What a strange combo.
I know. And then 2020 will be Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman, and
I can't remember from there.
Oh god, there was an obvious 3 that were clearly the scheduled ones. I can't remember. Damn it. Obviously, the third one was going to be Flash, but Wonder Woman's replaced that. So what was the other one?
How do you know?
I don't know.
I'll be honest. I kind of just they were all just so. Oh, here's a movie. Here's another one.
But it was notable that when they started talking about Birds of Prey's casting, that it felt like there was 3 that were kind of okay. This is the 2020 batch. It actually feels like they're a bit more solidified. Although now Flash has moved, so it's changed. But it started to feel like more of an actual schedule for a year at least. Nothing beyond that was remotely set in stone, but
yeah.
that year felt a bit more concrete. But hey ho, what are you gonna do?
Fools that we are.
So. Yeah, so DCU movies be DC movies. But speaking of DC movies, something from last week that's worth talking about is that James Gunn's officially now been hired to write Suicide Squad 2. Not direct. He could direct. They could still hire him to do that. But as of right now, he's only officially hired to write the movie.
Yeah. I can't blame him. This is exactly as soon as the news of the Guardian stuff broke. This is what everyone said. Get him on DC, right? And they went, well, what do we do with him at DC? Suicide Squad's your easy franchise to throw him, right?
Yeah, but don't call it Suicide Squad 2. Make it be just completely accessible and ignore the first one.
Yeah, I mean, they did say it would be like a fresh take, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Margot Robbie in there, given that she's kind of the linchpin.
Probably,
and
but at the same time,
probably Will Smith too.
But here's the thing, though, like she's going to have Birds of Prey and like solo Harley movies, right? You could almost get away with not having her on Suicide Squad, Redux or whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
You could just have a different set of characters.
You could. I can see out of everyone, it would be her and Will Smith's Deadshot are the only ones I can see. Yeah, if any.
If any, because I think if you want to do a fresh start, it'd almost be smarter just to different set of characters.
It could be, but there could be something to having one, like Deadshot stick around to be the veteran who knows what's going on with the team and knows what to expect to some extent, and then everything can kind of go to shit and he'll be like, well, okay, I didn't expect any of this.
1 second.
Cats are being dickbags, aren't they?
He's been a pest. I just wanted to push him in the bed.
Yeah, see, it's always the cat.
So now he's lying down, just staring at me like, what did you just do? You got shoved, cat. You got shoved. He's thinking where's his belly rubs because he's just to me shoving him on the bed and then rubbing his belly, and he likes that. He gets all kind of like, he's on his back and he's pausing there and he's like, oh yes, scratch that spot, that's the spot. He's like right into it. So I think he's confused that he gets shoved and he didn't get the reward afterwards. Anyway, I mean, Suicide Squad, it's kind of a reasonable fit. The first one is absolute garbage because it's such a badly written, edited, and constructed movie.
It's just a mess. Yeah.
It's a mess. So, like I say, I don't want this one to feel like it needs to, you need to see the first one. Have this work don't call it 2, call it Suicide Squad something, and just make it be a complete new entry point. Because... Yeah. That's what it should be, because I don't think you want to be associated with that first one, which is why I'd almost prefer them not to have any of the cast back.
I get that, but I do like in Suicide Squad, in some of the stories, one of my favorite things is having one member who's been on the team before, kind of knows the drill. If you're gonna do that, you might as well make the most of your contract with Will Smith, right? You know, and get him back because that'll be in there.
Only if they kill him in the first act. Blow his head up with the collar.
I'm down for that.
Do it. Anyway, next up, as if we were expecting anything else, but they actually officially announced and like hired Ryan Coogler to come back for Black Panther 2 this week. That's like
no shit.
So he's going to write and direct it. He's back. Because even though we all kind of assumed that up until now there wasn't actually anything official, and he wasn't contracted to do it. Like he was, you
know. With the amount that movie made, it was like, what do you want? Just tell us what you want. Here's a check. Write down your figure.
Sure.
We'll give it.
To be fair though, Ryan Coogler's the kind of guy that I could see saying, you know, I don't care how much you offer me. I want to do other things now.
Oh, sure, but from their perspective, that's what they would have done. It's like whatever you want.
Yeah. And then worth mentioning, images of the new Spider-Man suit from Spider-Man Far From Home came out this past week or so. It's a red and black suit.
Okay.
Instead of blue, it's black, and that part's of the suit. So, I just thought it was worth mentioning. I know you don't care.
Isn't that one of the Ultimate suits?
You're thinking of Miles' suit. It's not that. It's exactly the Homecoming suit, but it's black instead of blue, essentially.
Right. Okay.
I mean, someone's gonna say, "Oh, there's some other minor differences," but from a glance, it's.
Oh, okay, sure.
So it's not Miles' suit, even though that is black and red.
Yeah, what you're describing sounded like that.
But yeah. So I mean, unless he takes off the mask, that we find out in the trailer that he takes off the mask and it's Miles. I'll be okay, fair enough. Miles is in this movie. Never mind.
That'd be a hell of a shock, right?
It would be a shock, but we're not expecting it yet.
No. Give it another few movies.
All right. So what do we got next? Okay, so separate from the Marvel and DC stuff, God Country is getting the film treatment. Legendary Entertainment has obtained the rights to the graphic novel illustrated by Jeff Shaw, written by Donny Cates, who will also write the screenplay. God Country centers on Emmett Quinlan, an elderly woman rattled by dementia. When a tornado levels his home... Did I say elderly woman before?
Yeah, you did.
It's elderly widower, sorry. Because I confused myself there. I was like, wait, it just said it was a woman. Oh, it said widower. That's my bad. So he's an elderly... To be fair, his name's Emmett. You should have maybe questioned me saying it's an old woman.
I probably should have done, but...
Anyway, so when a tornado levels his home, as well as the surrounding West Texas town, a restored Quinlan rises from the wreckage. An enchanted sword at the eye of the storm gives him more than a sound mind and body. He's now the only man who can face the otherworldly creatures that the sword has drawn down into the Lone Star State. So he's an old man with dementia who gets cured by a magical tornado and a sword. And then he's the chosen one who has to fight the monsters.
I'm so into this. This has actually been a book on my radar for a while. I've been meaning to get to it.
I've heard of it. I recognise the name when I saw the story, but I've never read it.
I've been, Donny Cates has been doing some great work recently that I've been enjoying. He's the guy currently doing the Venom book and Cosmic Ghost Rider, which is batshit insane, and I love it.
Yeah, I tried that Venom book. I didn't like it that much.
Oh, I'm digging it so much. It's I think it's great. But yeah, and he said he was writing the screenplay as well, right?
Yeah. And just to be clear, I didn't think it was badly written. I actually think that I'd probably like him on other stuff, but
he just don't give a shit about Venom.
Even he can't make me care about a Venom book. He just can't do it.
I didn't think it was possible, but here I am. It's one of my favorite books of the year.
Yeah, all the backstory stuff he started setting up in the first issue, I was just kind of like, I just wasn't into it.
It got so insane that I got so into it.
Yeah. The type of backstory he was doing though appeals more to your tastes.
It does, yeah.
Anyway, that's the comic book stuff. So onto the blockbuster news. First up, we have Guillermo del Toro. He's co-directed a Netflix movie, a stop-motion animated movie. It's a passion project. He's doing Pinocchio.
I'm down.
Del Toro is paying to make a darker version of the Wooden Boy tale for the past decade. Everything Del Toro makes he's been trying to make for at least 15 years because he keeps not doing them.
Yeah.
He's written the script with Patrick McHale and he'll co-direct with Mark Gustafson, I should probably say. It's one of those things where I read it the first time and I go, no, that's not how you pronounce that at all. I'll have to go back and read it again. Who worked on Fantastic Mr. Fox. So
I love that movie.
production will begin this fall on a version of the classic story that is less romanticized than the 1940 Disney animated classic. Del Toro's film will be a musical set in Italy during the turbulent 1930s.
I like everything you just said.
I dislike almost everything I just said. I'm running in the other direction. I want no part of it.
We are so covering this.
No, you can do him, Tim. He likes Del Toro.
Tim loves Del Toro.
He does.
Way more than I do, to an unhealthy degree.
I don't like musicals, for a start. I don't really like a lot of Del Toro movies, especially when he goes full Del Toro. Yeah, this is the thing. I don't like Shape of Water. I don't like it.
See, I love Shape of Water.
Yeah.
I really dislike Crimson Peak.
Oh, I hated Crimson Peak. That's probably his worst film. I hated Crimson Peak with a passion.
It's down there, and but then Shape of Water was probably one of my favorite movies from last year.
Yeah. Shape of Water, and and I don't hate it. I dislike it. It's like a 4.5. I dislike it, and that's it.
And I loved every second.
Same with not quite the same. Pan's Labyrinth is more like a 6 for me, but again, I didn't like it that much. Everyone loved Pan's Labyrinth. I was like, it's okay. It's okay. He's not for me. He's a delightful person. Whenever he talks about movies, he's a very passionate man.
Yes.
It's great, but
no arguing with that.
I don't like it, but his movies, outside of his more kind of mainstream stuff, because I like Mimic and I like Pacific Rim, which is a weird mixture for most people to like from him. But that's what I like from him. So suck it.
Hey, I love Pacific Rim too.
I also like Pacific Rim too.
Yeah, I realised what I said. God damn. Why did they have to make a second one? Bastards.
I like Pacific Rim also. That's what you wanted to say.
It is, yeah.
Yes.
Nice reference as well.
Yeah, so it's a solid reference to the Flash from last week. There you go. Or 2 weeks ago now. But anyway, so next up we have a few things in the works from Balboa Productions, who obviously is Stallone's company. So it's a recent thing that you started, this Balboa Productions, and they've got a slate kind of gearing up. So the first thing that's likely to be made is called Samaritan. Written by Brady Shute, and it'll be a dark, fresh take on the superhero genre that Stallone's attached to star, which is interesting. So I don't know if he's going to be the hero itself, but I mean I could see them doing something with it if they're doing like an old sort of time.
Is that or he's the villain?
Or he's the villain, yeah. But I will say that's an interesting thing for him to be starring in, because I immediately go, oh, that's different. I mean, I know he was in Guardians 2 in a sort of cameo style role, but it's not the same, yeah. That's not typically what he does. And then also on the slate is his long gestating adaptation of a book called Hunter, based on a book by James Byron Huggins. Stallone bought the film rights to Hunter in 2009 and reportedly had the idea to incorporate it into a Rambo storyline. That's not happening now. Like, he was going to do that originally. He was going to sort of mix it with a Rambo story. You can kind of see why. The book centers on Nathaniel Hunter, whose hyper tracking skills. So he's a hunter who's named Hunter. I mean, that's a bit on the nose for me, but his hyper tracking skills are employed to hunt down a raging beast, a half-human terror created by a renegade agency that is threatening to wreak havoc on civilization. So this would have been, if this was mixed with a Rambo movie, this would have been insane. That Rambo's hunting like a hybrid like horror monster.
See, this is the thing where I love everything you just said. But then you tell me, okay, but it's a Stallone movie, right? And I go, okay, I know what.
No, he's not necessarily in this though.
Is he not?
No, the only one that he's definitely in is the first one.
Right. Okay.
This is just his company's producing this, and he's producing it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be in them all.
Okay.
I like Stallone though, so I'm okay with that if he's going to be.
I don't have a problem with him. It's just usually, the style of action movie that he does and isn't for me.
It can't depend. I mean, you've not seen any of the Rocky movies or Creed, have you?
I've seen bits of Rocky.
Yeah, but I mean, those are not Stallone action movies by any means. They're very different.
No, they're not action movies.
He's actually a pretty good director when he's in the director's chair. So yeah, that was Hunter, and then also in addition to that, we got listed on these next couple, but he's got the rights to Ghost, My 30 Years as an Undercover FBI Agent, a memoir by the 30-year FBI veteran Michael McGowan and Ralph Puzzolo. Before his retirement, McGowan served as the FBI field operative who unprecedentedly worked on more than 50 undercover cases, and they're looking for a writer for that. So again, that sounds more like a biopic thriller than it does.
Yeah.
Like anything else. So I'll give him credit. All these movies sound a bit different.
Yeah, they're not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Yeah. And then just here at the end, other projects include a film set in the world of a special ops team. That's a bit more generic.
Yeah.
But it's written by a retired Army Ranger, Max Adams. It's worth mentioning that along with Hunter, Ghost, and then that last one, the special ops one, are all backed by a Chinese financier, Starlight Cultural Entertainment. So they're getting boosts from China money to making them safer bets, I imagine.
That damn China money.
Hey, it's good if you can get it.
Yeah, it is.
So next up, Amblin has hired Liberty Road and Battle of Alcatraz scribes Neil Widener and Gavin James to write a screenplay on Micro, the movie adaptation of the final novel by Jurassic Park author Michael Crichton.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit more interesting. Oh, Michael Crichton. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what this is until you said that. I'm like, okay, now I've got a baseline.
So before I read this, let's just over under. Is it some sort of theme park where the attraction turns on the guests?
Do you know what? I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's that Rick and Morty episode. You know, where they're all it's the theme park inside the human body. That's what it is.
It's a high concept thriller. Micro follows a group of graduate students lured to Hawaii. Not quite a theme park, but I can see what
not yet. It's not.
Yeah, to work for a mysterious biotech company, only to find themselves miniaturized and cast out into the rainforest with nothing but their scientific expertise and wits to protect them. So it's more like a grown-up version of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, I'm not against. That sounds good.
That sounds perfectly good.
There's a lot of fun to be had with them being tiny and like being next to a big leaf, and then like bugs try to kill them. And
yeah, they'll be having a fight with an ant.
Yeah, exactly. I remember, just to tangent this a little bit into Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, I remember being so jealous of that movie when they find the Oreo cookie in the grass, but it's like huge compared to them. So they go up and they literally scoop out like handfuls of the white cream, and I'm like, oh, I want to just have like a tub of the Oreo like filling.
I don't like Oreos.
Oh, they're great. That filling's so good.
Yeah, so which insect or creature do they use to be the T-Rex? You know, the thing that'll be the giant thing that chases them.
If it's in the jungle or the rainforest in Hawaii, then I mean, it's some sort of big scary spider, probably.
Yeah, but do you go the route of, okay, no, let's take it seriously, it'll be like a big horrific creature like that, or do you just do the comedy route and just do like a bird? Well, it's funny because to us, it's just a little bird, but like, I know some people are scared of birds, but more people are scared of spiders.
I mean, I think you can still do that seriously. It doesn't have to be funny.
You can, but
it doesn't sound like going for a comedy version. It sounds like it's going to be more of a serious, scary.
It does
version.
Yeah.
So that's funny. I mentioned Creed earlier, but so Michael B. Jordan, which it notes here was in Black Panther and Creed. Well, Creed 2 specifically. I mean, he was in Creed 1 as well. Let's not sell him short. But here he's going to play a deadly assassin called Columbus in a film called The Silver Bear, which is a potential franchise launch for Lionsgate based on the book series by Derek Haas. So Haas wrote 3 follow-up novels featuring the assassin, who is so effective that he becomes what Russian criminals call a silver bear. He never fails, and he seems immune to the stresses of his work. But he comes up against his own nightmarish origins when he takes on the job of killing the Speaker of the House, who is also leading a presidential candidate, or who is a leading presidential candidate, sorry. And he's also Columbus's father. This sounds so contrived and generic at the same time.
I'm pretty sure that was personal and professional lives. So good at his job, but it's his father.
That was very. That's too thin to count.
Oh, well, you can count it anyway.
Too thin to count, but yeah, kind of. I mean, I like Michael B. Jordan, but I am not excited for. I mean, this could end. I mean, if it's really well made, it could end up being great. But I am not excited on a conceptual level for an assassin franchise.
Cliched and generic.
It does. So maybe it'll have a style that'll set it apart or whatever, but not feeling it.
No.
Next up, director George Nolfi has set Samuel L. Jackson, Anthony Mackie, Nicholas Hoult, and Nia Long to star in The Banker, a fact-based drama that Nolfe wrote with Nicole Levi. Romulus Entertainment is financing it. So yeah, so this is based on fact, as it points out. But so the drama is based on a true story of two African American entrepreneurs, Bernard Garrett and Joe Morris, that is Mackey and Jackson, who during the 1950s tried to circumvent the racial limitations of the era and take on the establishment by recruiting a working-class white man, played by Holt, and training him to pose as the head of their business empire while they pose as a janitor and a chauffeur, but they were actually the brains of the whole thing. Bernard's wife, Eunice, plays a key role in setting up the enterprise. Garrett and Morris became two of the wealthiest and most successful estate owners in the country, with Steiner as their front man. By their success, brings about the unforeseen risk of exposure that threatens everything. So, I can see the movie plot that comes out of this, of them hiding this. And it's like a superhero thing almost, where they have to hide their secret identities and.
Yeah, you can see. Okay, the first bit is them setting it up, and the goofy front, and then it gets serious, and it's like, okay, but we're gonna get discovered, and you go down that route. You can kind of see where it goes as a movie. Yeah,
it's actually a really good thing to base a movie on. I can see the potential here for this, and there's a good cast.
It is a good cast.
Mackey and Jackson, Holt's all right, but Mackey and Jackson are the ones that stick it out there to me is a big deal. So
definitely,
that's The Banker. Next up. So competitive bidding war for this one. Netflix got the rights to a film called John Henry and the Statesmen, which is going to star The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. And it also brings his director from Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. Not a whole lot in this. It just says Johnson will play John Henry and lead an ensemble cast of the most popular figures from folklore and legend from all around the world. So it sounds like a sort of family adventure with all these...
It sounds like someone reached into Matt's brain.
It sounds like the sort of thing that... It sounds like a follow-up to Jumanji in a weird way. I can see it having a similar tone and...
Yeah, I really, really like Jumanji, so I'm down for this.
I still haven't seen it. It's on the to-do list.
It's really quite good.
Is it better than the original, though?
Yeah. Some part.
Is there something as gifable as what year is it? Because I don't think there is. What year is it has become a meme? It's become iconic in its own.
Yeah, probably not quite as giftable.
Yeah. That said, Twin Peaks did it better. Anyway, moving on. We have Netflix and Matt Reeves' company, Sixth in Idaho, are in advanced talks to make a music-themed feature called Idol, which will star Haley Steinfeld, who's going to star in it and produce it. It's not closed yet, but it's apparently very close. It's one of these things where it's just obviously going to happen. It could fall through maybe, but it's right there at the precipice of completion. So Netflix beat out Paramount and Universal for the Matt King written story, which is described as Devil Wears Prada meets All About Eve, set in the high-stakes world of pop music. The story revolves around a girl who becomes an assistant for an iconic singer and then tries to become her, as in morph into her. So
I'm down. Sorry, Matt King, not as in the actor. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know who Matt King is, so I have no idea.
He was on Peep Show. He was Super Hands, but he's a bit of like that. That's where most people will know him from. But he's just done a few.
Even if I knew who he was, I wouldn't know really from this.
I've just seen his IMDb. He's written a bunch of episodes of TV shows, so I guess it's possible.
But yeah, you like Haley Steinfeld?
I do. I like everything that description was, frankly.
I've never seen Devil Wears Prada. I don't even know what the plot of Devil Wears Prada is. So I don't even know how this, what part of this is...
okay.
...is related to that.
Yeah.
So, more your thing than mine, I think.
Yeah,
I like Steinfeld as well, admittedly, but I'm not sure this speaks to me especially. But, I mean, if it goes to the darker All About Eve side of it, and it's more about the obsession and all that, I could see it maybe being a bit more for me. But yeah. Next up, Luke Evans and Daniel Brühl, who worked on The Alienist together, the limited series, but it became a proper show when it got a season 2. No,
it didn't. It became a second limited series.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was a sequel.
They won their qualifications.
It's a sequel limited series, yes.
Yeah.
But also they're going to star in this film, but they're also bringing their executive producer from that show as well. So that's a little group who like working together apparently because they're doing a movie.
Okay, what's the movie?
So they're doing an Untitled film based on a French film from 2006, which was called My Best Friend, or Mon Meilleur Ami, if I'm saying that remotely correct, which I'm probably not. But in the original film, it's centered on two very different men, one arrogant and cold, the other sweet and talkative, whose lives are thrown together when one accepts a bet to find a best friend, and the other agrees to teach him the secret to making friends. So Daniel
in
Brühl,
the process, become best friends.
but Daniel Brühl's the cold one, right? He has to be. There's no way he's the cheery, happy one.
I really hope, because I assume the same. But I really hope they do the role reversal and just play with it.
It can't be. There's no way he's the happy one. He's the miserable bastard. He always is.
He is. So
he's like, wah, wah, wah. The Avengers kill my mum. What a Civil War's plot? Well, I can't remember. I don't remember what they did to his parents, but there was a thing. I've still only seen that once, and it was in the theaters. So I mean, his motivations
I've seen it 1.5 times.
His motivations have slipped from my memory, but hey,
I didn't get far enough in it the second time to find out the motivations.
Next up, Keira Knightley will lead a cast alongside Gugu Mbatha-Raw and Jessie Buckley in a film called Misbehaviour. It is a dramedy set on a true story. It's against the backdrop of the 1970 Miss World competition in London. Get it? Misbehaviour, Miss World. See what they did there? I actually like the title. Once I've read it,
have they put double S?
They haven't, but it still works. I still get what they're doing here.
I know, I get it, but they could have been better.
Once I read the description, I was like, oh, that title's actually quite clever. Anyway, so at the time, Miss World was at the height of its powers, watched by more than 100 million viewers. That's a lot, actually.
That is quite a lot, yeah.
Claiming that beauty competitions demeaned women, the newly found women's liberation movement achieved overnight fame by invading the stage and disrupting the live broadcast. When the show resumed, the result caused an uproar when the winner was not the Swedish favourite, but Miss Granada, the first black woman to be crowned Miss World. So the same Miss World had a live interruption by a protest mob, and then had the first black winner, causing a separate uproar. So it's an eventful,
crazy year.
It's an eventful Miss World. I'll give it that.
We assume maybe they're all like that.
Yeah. Gugu Mbatha-Raw is really good though.
She is, and
Keira Knightley's okay, yeah. But she's kind of. I don't know. I associate Keira Knightley with a period drama with a big dress, and that's all she ever does, and I have no opinion on her because of that.
I don't think I can argue that. I mean, she's in like a lot of other stuff, but that's definitely her go-to.
Every year I see another trailer for a film with her.
Yeah.
And a big puffy dress.
Yeah, I can picture it of course I can picture it because they're all the same.
They're the same thing. She. I remember her branching out back in the mid 2000s. Back when she was in King Arthur and she did the football one, and there was the various other things.
Yeah, the football one.
Aye, bend us like Beckham.
Yes. I'd call that. I'm not correcting it. Let it slide. She was in Love Actually, right?
I don't know. I've never seen Love Actually.
Oh, well, pretty sure she's in Love Actually. I like that movie.
Oh, okay.
I think maybe that's kind of a backup though. All right, not a period piece. Well, there's a rom-com.
Yeah. She's made a career of being in films that I wouldn't watch.
She has. I think she's pretty good.
But yeah, all right. That does take us on to the horror section. So let's get spooky because it's almost Halloween. Perfect time for it.
Go on.
So back at the start of the show, we mentioned that there was an announcement today that almost seems inspired by the fact that Halloween had such a great weekend in terms of its intake, and that is that there's already talks of a Friday the 13th revival. Which is the most obvious thing ever. Like, Friday the 13th exists because Halloween exists. That's why it happened in 1980 in the first place.
Do you know what's funny is, I don't know if we did say this, but on our Patreon exclusive episode of 121 Extra, well, we did the latest episode was about horror. I'm pretty sure at the end we kind of did a little bit of speculation. It was either on that or we just had this off air, and we said, well, maybe we'll get Friday the 13th back because in response to Halloween. It's
funny, actually, at the end of the Streams After Midnight where me and Tim were talking about it, he asked, do you think we'll get like other franchises back? And I said, 100% this is leading to more Friday the 13th. I have no doubt in my mind. And I'm glad I was on record as saying that the day before this announcement happened. because I was right. I was damn right. I knew I was right. I didn't think it'd be this quick, but
No.
I was right. So obviously there's been some contract things recently because Victor Miller, the writer, basically got his rights back because of the clause where after 35 years he can take the rights back, and he immediately apparently went to two companies, Vertigo Entertainment from Roy Lee and LeBron James' Spring Hill Entertainment. So LeBron James is going to be executive producing the new Friday the 13th.
What a world we live in.
What a weird headline that was to get today. But yeah, they're in the works. They're working through it, and they work through Warner Brothers, where New Line worked from. So it's actually going to the same home, more or less, as what Friday the 13th was at.
So Warner don't care.
In terms of distribution, anyway, obviously it's no longer the same producer that owns the rights. So they're pissed. Sean Cunningham's not a happy man right now. But so apparently it's early days yet. They're just starting to talk about it and talk about what they're doing with it. But I think that's why I'm saying I think they rushed the announcement out because right now it's relevant. Right now it's relevant to say, hey, it's coming.
I'm going to go and say, okay, they were maybe talking about it over the last month, couple of weeks, when the buzz for Halloween was building. But they were going, oh, well, okay, we got ideas, maybe we'll do this. I think when the prediction, the estimates came in over the weekend and they were like, okay, it's making that much. They went, okay, no, we're definitely doing this now. 100% we're in. It's just what it's going to be now.
The past tense of saying he went to them implies to me it was already happening. It's just the announcement that's sort of coming now.
See, that's what I think. I think when that says, oh, he went to them, I think that was very preliminary meetings. Okay, yeah, we, maybe this, maybe that. But I don't think it would be okay, definitely doing it until they saw those numbers for Halloween. It's right, we're jumping on it.
I think it would have happened anyway, unless Halloween bombed enough that it scared them away. But
possible.
I think it would have happened anyway because Halloween and Friday the 13th will always come back for more. There may be gaps because the last one didn't do so well, but they'll always come back.
Yeah, that's true. It's been a while since last Friday, right?
2009.
Yeah.
But that's partly because we've had some weird contract issues. Because it almost happened a couple of times. We almost had a found footage one at one point.
Oh, God. Be glad you avoided that one.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad that bullet was dodged. I'm okay with that. I am all for more Friday the 13th. And unlike Halloween, Friday the 13th doesn't have this huge standard to kind of live up to. All it has to be is a fun slasher movie with good kills. And that's why the 2009 remake is fine. It's another movie with Jason killing teenagers. It's fine.
What more do you want?
It's not the best, it's not the worst, it's kind of in the middle of the pack. But if you like the Friday the 13th franchise, middle of the pack's kind of okay. It's fine. So, all I need is more of that. I need Jason in a hockey mask with brutal kills. Some good direction would be nice, but I don't even necessarily need it from Friday the 13th. I just need it to be fun.
You have pretty low standards when it comes to Friday, haven't you?
Yeah. It's different from Halloween. So yeah, give me more Friday the 13th. Do it. When's the next Friday the 13th they can get this out by? I'm going to look at the calendar, Hunt.
What we're looking realistically.
Well, it has to be at least a year, right? So let's go to next October and then go from there. So let's say October does not have one. December doesn't have one. January has one. December 2019.
December.
So
maybe.
They can make these quite quick, but that might be a stretch. So let's say it's more likely.
March.
March, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm calling it. March 2020. I'm calling it.
Because it's probably quite a while after that for the next one, with two of them being so close together.
Yeah. March 13, 2020, I think is what they're going to try and hit.
Yeah, because after that, you're looking at November 2020.
I also think Christmas is not a good time for it anyway, even if it is Friday the 13th. So I think March is your sweet spot.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm calling it. But yeah, I hope it happens. I hope it goes through and nothing falls apart because I actually do want more of these. And I'm glad that Halloween... It is kind of nice to see Halloween kind of shaking up the horror genre again. All of a sudden everyone's like, oh, maybe we should do slasher movies again now because, it can
feel
work.
like anyone who did listen to our Patreon episode will know we talked a lot about, the trends that horror's had. And lately we've been stuck in this supernatural period. I feel like we're going to have to diversify right now because we've got the reactions to the social horror stuff from Get Out. We've got, we had a Quiet Place do really well, and we're going to get reactions to that.
Well, one of the things we also said is that horror's actually given us more good films on a regular basis than it ever has. At least I feel that way. And if it has to diversify, because if that's how we get even more good examples of horror movies every year, because in that episode I went back to the 90s and the 80s and I went, okay, how many good horror films are there per year? And it wasn't actually that many, especially in the 90s. The 90s was like a barren wasteland, whereas like now I can do a top 10. The last few years I've got top 10 horror movies for each year.
I don't mean that as a negative thing, and obviously there's been great examples of horror movies for the past decade, every year, but the difference is to those, and I'm talking about Get Out and Quiet Places, those were successful in the box office, like massively successful, which is why we're going to get spin-offs and people copying it and aping the formula.
Yeah, but I think the point is I don't actually want there to be trends. It's actually better if there isn't, because it's more varied, and then I won't get bored of the one genre because they're not spitting out the same genre constantly.
That's what I mean. So now, over the past 2 years, we've got the Get Out, we're gonna have that style of stuff. Quiet Place, we're gonna have all those copies coming out, and then Halloween's back, so now we're gonna get slashers again. It's pretty mixed instead of just
It may actually. It might actually be the most varied period we're getting into that we've ever had. That said, I still feel like all the cheap ones that I'm seeing trailers for are still pretty much all supernatural, so I'm hoping that changes.
Give it another year.
I'm really hoping that changes, because I am sick of bad supernatural movies.
I think a lot of those cheap ones, they were still just, they've not caught up yet to where we're going. They're still stuck in that, because, I mean, but whatever that last Conjuring spin-off was, that was just like a month or two ago, was so damn successful, they might as well still keep knocking out the cheap supernatural ones.
Anyway, so next up, Bloody Disgusting got an exclusive here. Apparently Sci-Fi is in talks to get the rights to a couple of things to make movies on it, which, I mean, could be concerning because it's sci-fi. When I say sci-fi, I mean SYFY, is the Sci-Fi channel.
Yeah. From the creators of Sharknado.
But they're apparently in talks to get the rights to Killer Klowns from Outer Space and also the Critters franchise. And I'm on board, because I like Killer Klowns from Outer Space. I've got a very soft spot for Critters, for that franchise. There's 4 of those, and I remember enjoying all 4 of them to various degrees, even the 4th one in space. I mean, if anything, especially the 4th one in space. And these don't need to be expensive movies.
No.
These don't need to be. You can make a really good low budget movie of these franchises. Admittedly, I'm not expecting gold from Sci-Fi. I'm really not. But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they can make.
It'll be at least okay.
Yeah, that they can make something decent. So yeah, it's apparently following their model, because they're making a new Leprechaun movie that's coming out in March, and this is going to follow on the heels of that. That was the first of their.
Oh wait, they're the ones making the Leprechaun movie?
It's a new wave of them doing franchise reboots and stuff, and they're trying something different. This might be them getting away from. I mean, not high art obviously, because it's Leprechaun, Critters, and Killer Klowns from Outer Space, but getting away from the mockbusters and into maybe just more B-movie kind of territory.
I mean, that's right. The right level for them to be aiming at, realistically, where they don't have to be shite.
Unfortunately, this means that me and Tim probably just have to do the Leprechaun movies before we get to March, just for the sake of this new one. I'm upset by this. All right.
Tim does not know yet.
But he'll be happy about this. He'll be over the moon, but he gets to do the Leprechaun.
Tim definitely loves Leprechaun.
Anyway, next up. So, for the first time in the Conjuring franchise, the next spin-off, specifically the next Annabelle movie, is actually going to have the Warrens in it.
Oh.
Not as the main characters, but...
Oh, okay.
But they're going to be in there supporting roles. We're going to see them in new scenes in the movie. And it makes sense, because we'd already kind of known what the plot was, and we were speculating if it was when it was taking place. Like we thought the daughter might be like older because of what the plot was, and we thought, the Warrens will be away. Yeah. But no, it turns out, so they're getting Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga back for it. So Annabelle 3, which is not titled yet, it won't be called that, but it picks up when the Warrens bring Annabelle doll back to their place where she no longer wreak havoc in the artifacts room in the case. and Annabelle awakens the room's evil, which sets its new sights on a new target, the Warrens' 10-year-old daughter, Judy. The young girl, along with her teenage babysitter, cousin, and her cousin's friend, so probably her boyfriend, because that's, the babysitter's got the boyfriend over. That's how these things typically go.
Classic.
So it's them versus the doll. I have to admit, this is the best sounding Annabelle movie that they've had so far.
It is. And and I know this sounds weird, but having them in it makes it feel like a more legitimate Conjuring movie. Like I should probably watch this one.
Yeah, because to me, what it sounds like is that they're going to go off on a case. Like maybe they'll go off for Conjuring 2. They're going off to England for Conjuring 2.
Yeah.
And this will happen maybe while they're gone for the most of it.
Mm.
Or maybe not. Maybe it'll be like right after they bring the doll back, or maybe it'll be later. I don't know. But the kid's still young, so it's not that much later. And I like it because it's like, okay, we're actually dealing with the doll. I just hope it's more about the doll and not just generic demon stuff again, because that's the big problem I have with both the Annabelle movies.
Do you know what I would say is a danger? Is, they mention, awakening the evil in the room.
Sure.
So there could be anything in there that you
want
to play with.
I actually don't mind that as much, because at least that makes sense given where it is.
No.
Because at least then it's the other things in the room that are causing other things to happen.
Yeah.
They could get actually quite playful with that and do really different things and not just have the generic demon again.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be just the doll either. Like, okay, well, we can play with a few different things in this one.
Yeah, the ones that have maybe been mentioned before, maybe a couple that they don't expect to make full movies out of, there's just some fun stuff in there. Yeah, I could do that. Oh, maybe we can get a callback to some stuff that we've seen before, like the Crooked Man or something like that. We're still supposed to be getting a movie about him, but maybe that fell through. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. But it's not the worst idea.
No, I hate to be optimistic because the spin-offs
they've always been shite.
Have been shite. Annabelle 2 was a bit better, but it still was just kind of in mediocre territory.
I haven't watched any of the spin-offs because I'm like, no, I really like the two Conjuring movies, and I don't want to taint that.
So yeah, but now they've actually got the pair in the movie for presumably being around at the start and maybe come back at the end is kind of the likely option. Yeah,
get them for a week.
And I wonder how the babysitter, like, does the daughter like awaken her in her like family spirit and like figure out how to beat the demon? Like, what happens?
I don't know.
How do they win? Because
I feel like you can't just have them come back and save the day.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a bit cheap. Yeah, it has to be them that somehow survive and win before the Warrens come back home. Yeah. All right. Next up, Movie Pass Films. That's right. Movie Pass has a film studio, or at least a distributor. They've greenlit a horror title called The Reckoning, which will be directed by Neil Marshall, which is notable because he directed The Descent, amongst a couple of other things. Admittedly, I don't think anything else he's done has remotely come close to The Descent, but still, he did The Descent, so that's worth mentioning. So he co-wrote the script alongside Edward Everswindle and Charlotte Kirk. The latter who's also going to star in the film, so one of the co-writers is starring in it too. The record is set around the witch hunts of the Great Plague in England in 1665. I was going to say 1965, so I don't know, that was a bit recent for that. But yeah, so 1665, and follows Evelyn Haverstock, a young widow haunted by the recent suicide of her husband Joseph, who is falsely accused of being a witch by her jealous landlord Squire Pendleton. That's such an old name. After she rejects his unwanted advances. That sounds like it could be a really good little feminist horror film if it's played the right way.
Yeah, I really like everything it said there.
Yeah. Especially The Reckoning, I have to imagine that either she turns out to really be a witch, or other witches come to her defense because she's been wrongly...
I'm okay with either of these things still.
So there's potential there. And then the final story of the week, Constantine Film is remaking Wrong Turn.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Wrong Turn?
I can picture the poster.
With Eliza Dushku on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen the Wrong Turn.
I've never seen it, but I know the poster.
I never saw any of the 5 direct-to-video movies, although I imagine if this comes to fruition, that me and Tim will work our way through them and I'll see them all. But yeah, that's right. There was 6 Wrong Turn movies in total, believe it or not.
Really?
The first one, had 5 sequels. The first one came out in 2003, which, by the way, is starting to make me feel old that they're remaking movies that, between this and Cabin Fever, which was actually later than this, got a remake 2 years ago. I'm like, they're remaking movies that came out when I was like a teenager now. What the hell?
Yeah, get used to it. You're old.
See, that's the thing though. I don't think this is me being old because I'm not that old. This is them shortening the gap.
Yeah, probably, but you're old anyway.
Because there was
so
a time when it was at least 20 years, more likely 30, before they remade something, and now it's like a decade or so.
People have short memories.
I bloody don't. You do.
I have a short memory. I have a finite memory.
A lot of things about your finite. Not the hiccups, unfortunately, but a lot of other things. Anyway, so yeah, they're remaking Wrong Turn. The franchise creator, Alan McElroy, is actually returned to write the script. So the original creators involved. And Mike P. Nelson, who recently directed The Domestics, which was the Orion Classics first movie out the door. That was the one with Tyler Hoechlin in it.
Oh, yeah.
Which looked kind of fun as a B movie. I haven't got around to see it yet.
Is that the one with Kate Bosworth in it, though, as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, she might not be bad when she's not being Lois Lane. And I realise the amusing part there is that he also plays Superman, but that's whatever.
We spoke about this when we covered that.
So anyway, in the Wrong Turn movies, various families of deformed cannibals hunt down folks in West Virginia. The original movie, which was made for about made close to 30 million at the global box office on a 12 million budget. So it was relatively low budget.
Yeah.
It starred Eliza Dushku and Jeremy Sisto. The updated version is described as a timely and topical meditation on society and its issues. A cross-country hiking expedition puts a group of friends on the land of an inclusive society, where they soon discover that they are under a different rule of law and may not be the victims they thought they were.
That actually is relatively interesting.
It's interesting because the first one was just they run into a bunch of cannibals and they try to capture them and eat them, right?
Yeah, this is interesting in the sense that it's kind of vague and it's like not going all out and going, oh, this is what's going on, right? It's not the description I was expecting when we started this.
Yeah, a little bit different, but I mean, who knows? Maybe wrong. I actually remember enjoying the first one when I watched it, but I watched it like the year it came out on DVD, right? You know, I watched it. You know, I got the DVD. I remember, I watched on Christmas Day that year. I'd have been, 14. I watched on Christmas Day, I had a bunch of DVDs I hadn't watched yet. And for some reason I made it a horror day, even though it was Christmas. And I watched Wrong Turn, the remake of Toolbox Murders, and something else. I can't remember what the third one was, but I remember watching 3 movies and kind of liking them all. Not loving any of them, but liking them all and thinking, it was a good day. It was a good little marathon.
You have weird Christmases.
That was a horror Christmas. There was one Christmas where I had a cold and I was sick and miserable, but I'd gotten the GameCube game based on the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer called Buffy Chaos Bleeds, and I remember just playing that all Christmas Day, but also constantly wiping my nose because I was sick.
Can you tell he hadn't got his reference in all episode? Last news story is like, shit, quick, find a way.
You led me to that.
Yeah, I know.
Weird Christmas season, there we go. I feel like most of my Christmas memories tend to either be watching something or spending the day playing something if I got a new game. It depends, like it varies year to year from when I was a kid, depending on what I had that year.
Fair enough.
If you go young enough, it was toys, sure. So yeah, Megazords and shit when I was 6 and 7.
I definitely got a Megazord one year. It was awesome.
I had a few Megazords. I had the first, I think, 3 of them, maybe 4. And then I lost interest in Power Rangers because I was getting older.
Yeah.
And because it changed, because it was like changing to new things all the time, and it was like, I'm not into this. This isn't my Power Rangers.
You were such a grumpy old man even then, weren't you?
I was like, what's this turbo bullshit? Piss off.
To be fair, Turbo was pretty bullshit.
Zeo was okay, and then it got to Turbo, and I was like, nah, I'm out.
Was the lie? I got as far as the Turbo movie. I went, nope, I'm good.
Yeah, I never saw that. No,
I watched it, and that was the line where I was like, no, I don't need any more.
I think that was the last time they had any of the cast in it. I think after that is when they just completely started wiping the cast every year. Oh well. So yeah, that's the news.
Cool.
That's what we ended on. But so typically at this point of the show we'll talk about any movies we've watched that weren't for review purposes, just kind of just a sort of casual spoiler free chat. Not a lot to talk about this week, but like I say, I did go see Bad Times at the El Real on release day. The expectation being that me and Matt were going to do a 1.21 Jigowatts on it. and because he was moving house, because it ended up being more of a pain than they thought, and time was of an issue. We've just not had the time to actually do that episode yet. It may still happen, but it's probably worth me just giving some general thoughts because it's been over a week now. Yeah, so it's pretty good. But I'll say that it's a pretty good movie. It's I'd say it's not amazing. It doesn't reach like Cabin in the Woods levels of like, because it's Drew Goddard. That's why I'm comparing it to that, because it's his film. Of like, oh, this is like sort of genre defying. I guess it's a really douchebag phrase, but I'd say it's like a solid like 8 out of 10 pulpy crowd pleaser.
Fair enough.
That's how I would describe it.
I had flicked through a handful of reviews when it was coming out, and the general consensus seemed to be, it's pretty good. Some pacing issues though in the second act, bit too long.
Maybe I never really had much of a problem with the pacing too much. I would say the plot takes a couple of weird turns at it because it's a thriller, and it does this thing where it keeps cutting back on itself to like it does almost like an episodic thing where it's like, okay, the person in room 1, and you get a story, but you'll see parts of the other stories sort of happening. Then
right,
and that stuff works really well. That's all really good, and everyone who's at this small hotel that's on the borderline, so half of it's in Nevada, half of it's in California, and they all have their own motives for being there, and that's like a running thing.
No, I still want to see it, but it was such a prevalent critique that I saw in the reviews that I wanted to just see how you felt on that specifically.
No, I mean I could see what they're saying, but I'll say there's characters who you didn't think were going to be a big deal become a big deal. There's other characters who you thought were a big deal who go really early. Like there's a lot of surprises and there's a lot
all over the place.
But in a very neat, well executed way. Like everything's very well directed, everything's very well executed. There's a couple of plot points that I thought were going to be a bigger deal by the end when they introduced them.
Kind of never went anywhere.
It's not that they never went anywhere, they just never chose to go down that path. It was just kind of like, no, we're going to leave that be a mystery, we're going to leave that be, this or that. And it focused very specifically on a thing. It's very much a movie about the time it's set in. It's the early 70s, and there's so much of like early 70s references to what's going on in the world, and whatever's going on at this hotel is probably to do with the general climate at the time, but it's very much, you have to read into it and think about it a bit to get those ideas. But it's good. It's very enjoyable.
It's alright though.
It's funny in places. Violence is really good. Very well shot. Cinematography is really nice.
Sounds like it deserves a little more than what its box office was indicating.
It does. It is a solid, good pulpy time with great performances from a lot of good actors, and a really kind of, dare I say, sweet kind of message.
Sure.
I'm trying to phrase it in such a way I don't spoil something, but
which
is why I paused when I was thinking about what word I should use. But it's just good. I like it a lot. If it's still playing, if you still go and see it and you haven't, I'd recommend checking it out. I like it.
Cool.
All right. So that is actually us. That is the show. So we will be back next week with more movie news. Of course, we usually tell you what's went up or what's coming up in the channel in terms of movie reviews. I mentioned the Halloween review already on Screams After Midnight. It's also worth mentioning, of course, that it's October still, so me and Tim have got a lot of episodes of Screams After Midnight cranking out constantly. We just had Nosferatu the Vampire go up today. Nice. We did that. We did the first 2 Reanimator movies already this month, and it's not a spoiler to say that the third one's coming before the end of the month. And we also have, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but there's a very special movie coming this week. I think it's the next one actually, after this goes up. There's a very special Canadian film.
Oh dear. You can tell me what it is after we finish.
Yeah. But yeah, so you can look out for those. Obviously, with Connor being away, there was no influx last week or so. We are going to be recording stuff this week. They'll go up early for patrons this week. Everyone else on YouTube will get them next week, and we'll go from there. So
I mean, we should mention though, YouTube did get in the past week the first Star Trek movie review.
They did, which is obviously our part of our ongoing classic Star Trek discussions. We're working our way through Star Trek. We finished the original series, and now Star Trek, the motion picture, is up. Obviously, Wrath of Khan will be coming soon. Patreon should get that this week, assuming all goes to plan. But yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not got the influx branding on it, but it's still a movie review. Our audience is probably still interested.
So yeah, that is that. So that is us. That is 121 Gigawatts movie news. So thank you very much once again for watching. If you want to support the show and the channel, head over to patreon.com/MailedFuzzTV. You get some bonuses. Connor mentioned 121 Extra earlier on, the bonus discussion show we do once a month. It alternates between movie and TV though, so you get 121 Extra one month, then Almost Cancelled Extra the other month. So this month coming up, it's going to be Almost Cancelled.
But if you pay $1 this month, then you get all the ones that we've done already as well.
That is true. So go have a look over there for all the other stuff that's on offer. As I die of dry throat and can't continue this outro, I'm going to take a drink. Say something, Con.
I don't really want to. I kind of just wanted to watch you struggle. It's kind of amusing.
Shut up. Alright. So, yes. Like, subscribe. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fudge for channel updates. You can get me on Twitter at Wibble89. And you get Connor at ConnorRyan94. I'm not going to even ask him because he always hesitates and doesn't know what to say. Even though it's just his name and his birth year.
Yeah, but what do you want me to say?
Who could crack the code? Who could crack it?
I don't. It's like when someone asks me how old I am. I have to work it out every time.
That's weird. That is us, though. Thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys. And we'll see you next time.